welcome to my shop. My name's Tony, and this is Tony Turns Wood. So today I have this pretty interesting burl. It's got all sorts of neat little burls on it. It's been sitting out in the wood pile for a long time. It's got a pretty big void on this side, but some nice solid wood in the middle. I've already marked out a center for it. My goal is going to be to use this mouth as the natural part of it. Round up the edges, leaving this natural mouth, and turn it into a hollow form. So we'll drill into this hole, hollow it out a little bit inside. It's not going to be super thin walled. It's got lots of punky holes and stuff. If this hole holds together well and this doesn't just blow up on us, what I will do is try to go a little thinner than normal. But otherwise, it's just going to be an interesting piece with this nice big natural burl on it. We should have kind of an interesting looking bowl when we're all done. That's the goal anyway. So stick around. Let's see what happens. You can see how I've mounted this up. I have it just pushed between centers. I got a 4-prong in there and a tight end over here. And I've already spun it up off camera. It's turning just a little bit over 650 RPM to start. I'm already taking a little bit of time, just be a little bit more aggressive than I probably need to be. I just want to get to a spot where we can get a tenon on this as soon as possible. And it is a little out of whack this way on purpose. See, all this wood here is going to go away here soon. I can even bust some wood out now so it's going flying off at me. There's a big old void in there from where the burls come around. It's a pretty piece of wood, but it's a little fragile. So let's see what happens. A little rub there. But we're almost flat. My dog is having a heyday again today. See, that one just bounced right off my face shield. So all of these little things, you can see though, the good wood is turning good. And we have a crack here that was up from the bandsaw cut. But all that wood's going to be going away is the goal. So let's just keep at it. I'm staying way out of the line of fire. As you can see, I'm over here. Blanks here. If something happens, it's going to go that way or up into my face shield. So we should. I'm turning safe. But again, if you're uncomfortable with this, this is not something for you then. So those of you who like to turn kind of odd shapes and weird stuff, we can still see we're got a ways to go to get down there. But I wanted to get out to this edge, see how bad this crack is. Pull in. We're going to be getting rid of most of that pith. Should not be an issue for us. Keeping a nice tight fit here. But you can see this is the saw cut. This is what we're turning. So we still have, half an inch down there, but it's all be going in anyway. So I'm not really concerned. I just wanted to establish and see what kind of a tenon I can get down here. I watched one of my favorite turners. You guys heard me talk about Will Kenny quite a bit from Ireland. And I watched him do a tenon, like only about 3/4 of a tenon, and it held on nice and tight, and we could still use the headstock and stuff. But I was pretty impressed by that, to be honest, how that works. So if you get a nice, deep, thick tenon and it's strong, I mean, this part of the burl here is still super strong. The void in there is real. That is a real void. I'm trying to see if that's going to end up being punky all the way through, but I think we have, like, literally, if you're looking from your other angle there, we've got, 320 degrees of nice, good wood, and the stuff inside feels pretty strong. Okay, corners down here to where I can feel comfortable coming back around now and working it from this angle. What an interesting piece of wood. Beautiful shavings, look at those. And that's off a tool that's been cutting for a few minutes. Shame, a lot of this is going to go away here. Up on top you can see we're going to be rounding up into this spot up here quite a bit. I want to stop right as we round off this top corner. So this top corner up here, once we get around on this, the rest of this is going to stay natural. That's the current plan. So subject to change, modification, revision, as you all know. Oh boy, all those little prickly burls. All these little prickly burls on here. You got to be careful with your hand because they're like little razor sharp suckers. The burl's on the inside too, though, so the hollow form's gonna have a big opening on the side, so we'll just be able to see into it. I don't have a rough tenon.
These things are like spikes.
Little razor blades.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting round up here, round past that pith out. I might pull more of this pith out. It's a small little section of it. It blows out on this side, or I can glue it up. It's dry as a bone. I don't think it's going to crack anymore. And there's not any real super interesting figure on this side. All the interesting figures happening over here. The flame and the choyancy, the ripple. We'll get this cleaned up with some shear cuts, getting into that burl. You can see how pretty that burl is. I just don't want to cut too much past the burl, because that's the whole feature of this thing. Kind of awful. Get in there and wipe out your primary feature. I don't want that. At least I don't want that. And I'm assuming you don't want that either, but what do I know? Definitely wants to cut uphill better, but we got the burl eyes there. Getting past the round. That's our last hurdle, is this little sucker over here that goes into this beautiful figure. And I'm going to hit this with a Sandoflex in honor of Phil Anderson. We'll get out our Sandoflex and give this a nice tight number. I'm going to take one more pass with this big gouge, then I'm going to stop and sharpen, and we'll get out smaller gouges. So there I was trying to do the Stuart Batty, float the bevel rather than ride the bevel, so I could get a cleaner cut and not really fight all of this air. And I think that worked pretty good. You can see that burl. Look how pretty that's going to be. It's a pretty burl. Of course, I'm going to round this quite a bit more. I don't want this big wide base when we pull the tenon off. But I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that. We still have to take care of this first anyway, so let's get this flat. Oh man, I hope we get to stay inside this burl. I do not want to lose too much more of that. That was awful pretty. Now we've already, all the burls can be on the outside, which is nice. That's okay. That's pretty. Not exactly what I was hoping. I was hoping I was going to keep a little more of that gnarly look like I did on the last piece, the burl monster. If you haven't seen that video, you can, let me see if I point right, there should be a link right up there to see the burl monster video. That was a fun one. That was probably one of the funkiest pieces I've ever done in terms of just general aesthetics. But I think we can cut down on that after we take care of this flat. So let's sharpen up. I think that is the next thing to do. So over here I use this type of a Varigrind 2, I think it's called, system. And this has been pretty consistent for me. You just have to make sure you have everything marked out so you maintain the same angles. Okay, burl is staying pretty. How close? Oh, we're so close there. Really nice shavings. I have to clean that up, obviously. Oh, we're so close. Okay. See, we got this big air gap here, though, that we're fighting. So we're trying to get a nice run up and then out. So we're going to leave it kind of a little swooped. Oh, we're so close. I thought for sure I had it that time. Look at that. Let's see if we can keep that one profile shape. We got our there, and we're through that. Oh, one little thing. That'll sand, though. Okay, so now what do we think? Do we go ahead and keep that interesting shape? We keep our burl here. I can still take this up straight instead of leaving it like a lip, but I think that lip kind of looks cool. What do you think? Tighten this bottom here a little bit more, probably when I take the tenon off, but let me get a quick measurement on that. I think that I'm more happy with that. Still have a line here that I need to break, but I can do that with a shear scrape. And so all I want to do is see if I can get just a little shear scrape on that bottom here. Just a little refining and a little bit of getting some of those tool lines out. There we go. Already got the chatoyancy back. This is going to have to be sanded. Now the decision time. Sorry you guys can't zoom in and see some of the stuff I'm looking at here, but there are some little cracks here that I could stabilize right now. I'm just trying to make sure nothing in here is too soft. And so I'm going to go ahead and stabilize some of these cracks with a little bit of CA. I want to hold this bark in when we get down to the inside turning. And then I'm going to get to sanding this outside, which no one wants to watch. So I will tighten up my tenon. I'm going to CA, tighten the tenon, sand. I'll bring you back when I'm going to put some finish on this outside just so we can all appreciate what that's going to look like. And if I do the Sando Flex now instead of later, I will pull you in for that because that is always fun to watch. So that's where we're going to be at. Okay, we got it sanded up to 400 here on the outside. Now I've got the Sando Flex here, which I learned about from Phil Anderson over at Shady Acres Woodshop. I have it at 180 right now, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit the areas up in here, I hope. Not really trying to get anything more than just... I think that'll take a nice polish now. So you know I can't spin this up and use the shop grit like I normally would. We just can't get away with that with all of the rough edges and stuff. So we're gonna have to hand do this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rub it in the standard blue shop towel. Nothing changes there. But when the time comes, I'm gonna actually get out a small buffing wheel. Now I'm gonna have to buff it in at high speed. So you'll see how this takes on some color. Remember, this has got a little color in it because of the pumice. But here's our beautiful burl, smooth as a baby's bottom side. And you can see how that's going to take a lovely polish. So this is still grit in here. So all I'm doing is working it into a section, get all the fine scratches out. You can see some beautiful chatoyancy there, getting all the way up to the edge. I'm just going to put regular shellac on the top up here after this dries, or when we're ready for that part of the finishing. But I'll do that after we've hollowed it. But I don't want to have to come back to this section down here if I can avoid it. I want to get it all done and ready to pull the tenon off after we get the hollowing done. Now I know that a hollowing is not a super exciting thing to watch, as we've learned, but I will maybe throw a time lapse up and leave one camera running so in case something blows up or it gets weird, at least it'll be something entertaining for you. But once you're inside something, you really can't see much. But we do have this hole, so we get the camera just right after we've drilled our pilot hole. Maybe that will be kind of cool looking. I don't know. What do you guys think? Can you leave me a comment there and just let me know if you want to see the hollowing steps or if you're really more interested in this outside shaping and finishing. Again, I'm only looking to provide content and document the stuff I'm doing in the shop that's valuable to you. I don't want to put out a whole bunch of content that just fills up space and no one really finds valuable. So I don't know if that's the way most wood turners are thinking. I think some of them do it kind of as a brag. I think other people do it because they really want to document the process. Some people want to document it for their kids. Just want to have, a little history of what they did. I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you think? I'm going to go ahead and hit this with the buffing wheel now. Okay. We have all the grit off. Now I'll swap to my other mop after we wipe on some of the shine. So I keep two of these, different shapes, but one for working the grid in and off when I can't spin it on the lathe itself, and another to put the shine on when I can't spin it on the lathe. So I'm going to use our same shop cloth, just turn it inside out here. A little of the beeswax and mineral oil and essence. We got some lemon essence in here too. Look at that. What do you think? That looks pretty nice. So I'm going to let that, I'm putting that on pretty thick. I want to fill up every little pore. I just don't want to get any in any of these bug holes. And we'll leave it on nice and thick and let that harden a bit. It takes 10-15 minutes in these temperatures. And then I'll come back and I will buff that off. And of course we will take this over to the Beal system at the end of the whole process is my expectation. And from there we will get a nice white diamond, and then we'll hit it with some carnauba. And that should give us a really pretty shine, purely organic. And then this top surface up to the bark, I'm not sure which of these rings we're going to be able to keep. I'm hoping that I can keep almost all of them, but we'll put shellac on that. Ooh, I just put some wax on that. We're just going to have to come off before I can shellac it, but I'll have to hit it with mineral oil anyway. I just wanted to see what it looked like. Okay, I'm going to pull it around now and set it up, this weird looking thing, for our next hollowing. So as we hollow, we have two wide spots here that I think can hold the whole bowl together if we're smart. Coming into that side, we've got to be very careful not to pierce beyond this. So that's going to leave, we have one main support here and a main support there. Those two supports should be easy to keep intact. Now, as we break through right around here, that's when we'll start having to make some decisions, like how far down can we go and still hold this bowl together without it exploding. And that will be the interesting part. But when we have this nice big gap here, we'll be able to see inside exactly how thin we get. But we have this gap here. This can hold the bowl together. That holds. I think we can have a full support here as long as we keep this rim nice and tight and this one, and I can keep my tools super sharp. It's going to be, this is going to be a, boy, those better be sharp setup. So let me clean up this giant mess here, and I'll come back when we're ready to drill that pilot hole. How's that sound? Okay, well, from our previous experience with drilling into these odd-shaped things, I'm going to start with a smaller hole. Just do a pilot hole with a 25mm Forstner bit. Now, I cannot get all of my hollowing tools into a 25mm hole. I can if I go real small and real shallow, but if I want to get the carbides in, I need at least a 32mm hole, and the closest I have to that is 35mm right now. So we're going to lose a little of the spark. I'm going to do my very best to keep as much of it as we can, so I'm going to go real slow as we get down there after we drill the first hole, which is a little easier to get in there for the 25mm. So that's kind of my plan right now. I still don't know how this is going to hollow, or if I should maybe just drill this out for a glass vial, or drill it out for a lamp. But I have this vision that this would be pretty darn cool as a hollow form with some big voids in the side if I can keep it from busting apart. We have a pretty okay 10 in there. It feels really solid, but I do also feel like the wrong torque that could just combust it off. I don't know what the rest of the inside structure looks like. This all feels super solid here. And I've watched a lot of guys like Richard West and Mike. I haven't seen Mike Tchaikovsky do it, I don't think. But I've seen a lot of guys turn these things with voids. I've only turned two like this, but they were very symmetrical. The voids were. They were pith of the tree went right through and it's just rotted out. So it's a pretty easy exercise for me. But I'm not sure how that's going to work on this one. All I have to do is dig through all of my shavings. That's probably where I left my chuck key last. Oh, poor chuck key. He really doesn't get a fair shake most of the time. I thought I actually put him back in the... Oh, maybe I've got one of those wandering chuck keys. When I'm not paying attention, he gets out and moves around the shop, does his own thing. You just never know. Still have clearance. I'm going to back up just a little bit because I want one full inch out in the quill here. start with. And then we'll lock it down. I'm going to go into this at about 350. And I'm standing way over here. Okay, we're in. Our tailstock closer in. I have to be mindful that this doesn't hit up here. You got to be watching all the everything's there. Okay, so that's as far in as we're going to get with that bit. And we did not bust through to this cavity. Ooh, boy, those are so sharp on the outside. Oh, ouch. So I didn't bust through yet. So no air. Really cool burly bark up here. I'll flip on the other camera so you guys can see that on the next start before we get going. Now I can get a regular 1-inch drill bit that's a little longer, so we could go further down, but that's as far as we can go with the Forstner bit. But we have a nice established hole, so I don't feel like that's unsafe. And I do have this big mamma jamma here, so we can pick up quite a bit more space. This is I can probably post a link for this. I don't think I ever have. This was a set of big drill bits that I got from Amazon, and they was inexpensive for what you got, and they've been very, very good. So this is 5 inches to here. This whole part up to the top is 5 inches. So we really want, let's measure from this top surface up here. I want 3 inches. And 3 inches is going to take us to right about there. Let's see how far we are on that. So I need to come up to just to the top of the flute right there, and that'll be our start of our starting hole. And then we will lock that down, and we'll move on to the 35 millimeter. Although I might see if I can get a couple tools in that hole without I really like to use the bigger tools because I don't want a one catch, and I think this is going to blow apart if we're not real careful as we get to the areas where we'll start piercing through the sides. So we'll play it by ear. Okay, I fell them through the air now. So we can stop it and see where in the air we are. Just busted through. I felt it, but I don't see it still. So we might have a ways to go. Sorry. Might have a ways to go still. Let's see. Pull in some more quill here. The further out we get, the more leverage that spinning piece of wood has on my drill bit, and the less concentric my hole ends up being. And I like a good concentric hole. And it should be as deep as we want to go. And that should also, let's see. Yep. We're through. So you can see in there now, hopefully. That camera angle lets you see in there. And there's a nice big void. So we will now bring the, see how far down we were. I think I could probably still go another, there's a crack apart piece right there that might need some CA first. It's held together tightly over here. And on the tenon, we're clamping those two parts together. But I'm going to dip a little CA in there real quick, some accelerator, just to hold those two pieces together. I know that sometimes CA can make something a little brittle. But if I can get it in that crack a little bit, it'll at least give us something to hold it together. A little tighter. Again, it's a little risky, not dangerous for me, personally, my opinion. That's all that is, and you know what opinions are. Worth about as much as you pay for them. So always, take your own safety into your own hands and make sure that you're comfortable with whatever project you're doing and how you're doing it. Because I sure as heck don't want to see anybody getting hurt. All right, backed it up a little bit so I can see where we're at. I'm going to say a 1/2 inch more. So I'm going to back this all the way up to 1 inch. Move my quill all the way in. There we go. Start it up. Give myself a 1/2 inch more. It's 1/4, 3/8, 1/2. So there you have it. And again, we can blow. I'll do this for dramatic effect. Here you go. Woo, right up into the camera. So we're ready to start hollowing. We got some real meat down here. We have maybe an inch here before it's going to break through, and 2.5 inches going the other direction. So it's should all hold together, he said enthusiastically with his most optimistic voice. Do I feel good about that hole depth? Yeah, it goes beyond there. That's a nice hole depth. That we get that going and we get this wall down to 1/4 inch. If we can pull it off, we'll see as we start breaking through what things are looking like. Let's go ahead and pull out. I'm going to pull out one of my hollowing tools, just see how it fits in there right now. If we start with a 5/8 carbide, and we get it up high enough, I can get in there. I'm going to start with a 5/8 inch carbide on the hollowing rig. I'll come back with all the cameras set up when we're ready to hollow. There we go. Okay, I've decided to not use the visualizer right now for this. Since the goal is to poke through the sides, I can't imagine needing another visual reference as we poke through the side. We're probably going to poke down here first is my hope, although we may poke through here first. I really haven't figured out if those are equidistant or not. But I will have my face shield on. I will not be talking much, and there's a very good chance that a lot of this will not even make the reel, because I know that hollowing, when you can't see inside until there's like a hole or something, isn't a whole lot of fun to watch. So let's just see what we can do here. Okay, well, I've got it thinned out and got the hollowing tools put away. You can see we've got the big hole down here, the base, that goes into the tenon right there. So the base is going to be about 3/4 of an inch, and then it thins out to its thinnest spot, as we can get a good look in there, just a little bit, right around just under 3/8. So I was going for 1/4, and I started to get some big chatter on some of these punky spots, especially that one over there. If you look right in the middle there, we had a knot in there that started coming out, blowing apart. So I said, well, I think that's as thin as that one's just going to go. So now it's time to do some sanding. And after the sanding, which looks like a lot of hand sanding in there, I'm going to have to figure it out, although there's only a couple of tool marks. You got one right there, and there's a little bit of tear out in some of the softer stuff, but I think I can hand sand that all out. A couple tool marks right there, but it's in the real punky wood too, so I got to be careful not to over sand it. And then We got our opening the way I was hoping for, and we got our 3 voids. So we got the big void on that end. It goes through this one. We got the void there, the big one here. So all in all, I think from a funky, weird burl piece, I'm really happy with how that's turning out. So again, next step is going to be some sanding, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to do some finishing. Okay, I've got it remounted up now. We've got it all sanded inside. I have not put any finish on yet. I'm going to try to clean up and shorten this tenon. Very, very hairy, because I've just got it held on a 1-inch dowel and my tailstock. It's spinning okay. I feel like it's not bad, but I'm going to have to get a very sharp tool and take super light passes to thin that tenon up and turn that into a decorative bead, which is my goal. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll bring you right back when we're ready to start cutting. I'm going for that beaded foot here. I want to get a nice bead. It's going to have some punk and some cracks and all the stuff that makes this unique piece good, but every hard surface we definitely want to get perfect. So that's why a super sharp bull gouge. I'm going to roll this bead inward now, but I think I'm going to have to put a little bit of CA on a few of these spots before I can go any further. Okay, I've got it all sanded up. Only sanded the inside to 180. I didn't really feel like it needed more than that. And then I buffed the outside here. I have not done anything yet to the main burl section, but my first thing I want to do is go ahead and put some good shellac, little zinsser, on this bark inclusion, this scab that grew over the tree. And I'm going to be kind of liberal with it, lots of nooks and crannies here. And I'll just brush that in there nice. Get it all the way to the edges. Make sure we don't get any drips down the face. And then I'll decide if I just want to leave a natural wax edge on the rest of the burl, since it's smooth already after the bark came off and we hit it with the Sandoflex, in honor of Mr. Phil Anderson, who introduces, I think, everyone to the Sandoflex these days. Great turner, super neat guy. I just watched his video, so you can kind of date this video based on that, where he announced that he's got cancer again, and he's going to be fighting that and not being around his shop as much as usual. So definitely keep Phil in your prayers and your thoughts, and whatever way that you send out your good vibes and energy. But for this one here, we use the Sandoflex to get the outside burl done. I didn't touch this at all. I've even left the moss on there, as you can see, and stuff. So I'm hoping that we get a coat just on the top here. A few coats of shellac to just protect it and to give it kind of a neat contrasting vibe with the rest of the piece, which is still shiny, but it's not going to be shellac shiny, if you know what I mean. There's different kind of shiny. Shellac shiny, and then there's my Shop Shine Beeswax Carnauba mineral oil kind of shiny. You know, we can go in the mouth here, that's no problem. It's all bark in there. So this was a really interesting piece. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Me put it together. Stay tuned. I'll put it up on the spinner. We'll give it a quick roll around around so you can see how the whole thing went. And when I finish the inside, I am just going to use Howard's wax and feed, so it's easy to maintain. And it'll give it, without giving it a gallery shine, it'll almost be kind of a duller finish on the inside. So shiny on the outside, super shiny on the top, a little duller on the inside, but still bring out that grain and protect the wood for future generations, I hope. All right. Thanks for joining me. If you found this video fun or insightful, or at least enjoyed the content, I'd sure appreciate a like. Subscribe. It would really help me out. And my goodness, when you share a video, the things just really go big. So if you found this one interesting, please feel free to give it a like. Thank you. Hey, get out there and turn something.